In this video, we are going to have a look at the FeelWorld F6 Plus monitor. And if you have been wondering why people want to install external monitor to their camera, I'm going to talk about some of the reasons in this video as well. Kia ora, good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to have a look at the FeelWorld F6 Plus monitor. They actually sent me this monitor about 2 months ago, and I have been using it over the last 2 months, but only just get around to do a review of this monitor. So as usual, I'm going to talk about the build quality, the design, the performance, the feature of this monitor. But before that, I just want to talk about something first. If you have been wondering why people want to install an external monitor onto their camera, is it just to make them look cool? Probably the answer is no. I'm going to talk about 5 of the main reasons why people want to have an external monitor mounted to their camera. This would apply to pretty much all the external monitor in the market, but of course they will apply to this FeelWorld F6 Plus as well. So the first reason is definitely the size. This is a 5.5-inch monitor. If you compare to the typical DSLR or mirrorless camera that we're using these days, for example, my Nikon DF, you can see that there is a huge difference between the size of the typical 3 or 3.2-inch monitor on our camera to a 5.5-inch and some even bigger monitor that you can buy and have it external, so that allow you to see it much clearer compared to the much smaller screen on your camera. And the second reason is that with an external monitor, normally it comes with some bracket, or you can buy some bracket which allow you to tilt or angle the monitor any way you want. With most of the camera we have these days, the LCD screen at the back of the camera, they are either fixed or only have certain very limited amount of position angle that you can change to. But this is definitely not a problem, because with most of the external monitor, you either using the built-in bracket or you just buy external one, and you can adjust it to any way you want. And the third reason is also quite similar to the last one, is with the external monitor, you can position it anywhere you want. You don't have to have it fixed in that position. A lot of people would like to mount it on top of the camera using the horseshoe mount. But for example, if you are shooting with a gimbal, you can attach it to the gimbal. So just to a better position, allow you to see clearly, especially when you're shooting in a very low angle or high angle. That just make it a lot easier to see. Or for example, if your screen actually is a fixed LCD screen and you want to do some vlogging, for example, then you can mount it on top of the camera but turn it around so that you can see yourself when you are vlogging. Definitely with the external monitor, it gives you a lot more flexibility in terms of how or where you want to mount the camera, so that allow you to see the screen a lot clearer. And the fourth reason is that usually most of the external monitor, they have a lot of extra on-screen display that you can turn on. For example, the basic thing like peaking or zebra, and there are a lot of adjustability you can do, so that allow you to see a lot of information clearly when you are shooting. Yes, it's true that a lot of cameras these days also allow you to turn on feature like peaking, but the screen on those cameras are a lot smaller. So once you turn on some of the overlay on-screen display, it makes it quite hard to see the video or the photo that you are shooting. And usually the on-screen display are a lot smaller because you have a small screen, and your camera also doesn't give you too much adjustability for all those on-screen display. And then the fifth reason is that these days there are more and more cameras that allow you to shoot in the log profile, which is a very flat profile, which help you to preserve as much dynamic range as possible for your processing. But the problem with the log profile is that when you are shooting, the picture would look very flat. So it's not actually a very pleasant looking image, and also that's definitely not what you see in the final output. With an external monitor like this F6 Plus, it allows you to apply different LUT. You can also create your own LUT with your own artistic touches, so that when you are shooting, you can just apply your own LUT, and the screen will help you to render and give you a preview of what the final footage would be like, as if you have already done your post-processing. These are the 5 main reasons why I think people may want to have an external monitor, especially for videographer. But there are of course many other reasons why you may want to have external monitor. So now let's have a look and talk about this FeelWorld F6 Plus monitor. Okay, the first thing I want to talk about is that when I pick up this monitor and grab out of the box, I was actually quite surprised by how light this monitor is. This is not a very small monitor. This is a 5.5-inch monitor, but yeah, when I pick it up, it is surprisingly light. And the reason why it is light is mostly because it has a pretty plastic construction. So it also has its downside. For example, the button and dial when you use it definitely doesn't feel as premium as some other competitor in the market. But if you don't really mind about the slightly plastic feel of the device itself is built quite nicely. It feels quite solid, and everything looks very nicely put together. If you look at the HDMI port here, everything lined up very nicely. There's no uneven gaps or space that you may find on some other product in the market. As I have just mentioned, there's a dial here at the top and also a button here, which is a power button, and you can also use button to turn off the touch screen if you want to disable the touch interface. On the side of the monitor here, we have the HDMI in and also HDMI out port here. So the monitor can take up to 4K 30 frame video signal. So if you fit in a 4K 30 frame video signal in here, and it can go out here from the HDMI out port so that you can connect it to another monitor, TV, or external recorder. There's also a 8-volt DC output port here. You can connect it to your camera so that you can use the battery that you install onto the monitor to power your camera or any other external accessories. At the bottom of the monitor, we have the SD card slot here at the far end, which allow you to import your own LUT. The monitor itself has a number of built-in LUT, but if you want to have your own personalized one, then you can use the SD card slot to import it into the monitor. And then next to it, there's a DC in port. This is a feature that I really like because when I'm recording my YouTube video here in this room, quite often my video is maybe like 1 or 1.5 hour long when I record it. So with this DC in power port, I don't have to charge up another battery for this monitor. I can just plug it into the DC power source. Oh, by the way, the DC power supply for this monitor is not included in the box. So if you want to use a DC power source, you have to buy one yourself, but it should be pretty easy to buy from any electronic shops. So over the last 2 months when I was recording my YouTube video, I just mount this monitor on top of my camera and then plug in the DC power source, and then I can see myself a lot easier, a lot clearer with this much bigger screen. And then we have a headphone jack on the right. So yeah, if you want to monitor the audio, you can just plug in a headphone jack and you can get the audio signal in through the HDMI input from your camera. One thing I really like about this monitor is that it doesn't only have a mounting point at the bottom, it also has one at the top and then also on this side here. So it just gives you a lot more flexibility how you want to mount the monitor. For example, when I'm shooting my video here, because the HDMI port on my G85 is on the left side, so I actually want to mount it upside down like this. So the HDMI port is on the same size on the monitor and the camera. Okay, at the back of the monitor, we have the place where you can mount the battery. You can use the typical Sony L series battery, but you can also use the Canon LP-E6 battery if you have a couple of them lying around. So it is quite flexible in terms of how you can power this monitor, either type of the battery and also the DC power, while a lot of other monitors in the market only allow you to use the Sony battery. Okay, now let's talk about the main focus of this monitor, which is the screen. So it is a 5.5-inch screen. The resolution is 1920 by 1080. So this is a full HD resolution. In terms of brightness, it is 500 nits. So it is not the brightest screen in the market, but consider the price, it is not too bad, and it would be at least as bright as the screen on your camera, or it could be quite a bit brighter, depends on what camera you're using. And also come with the box, they have included a mounting bracket and also a screen hood, is it how you call it, so that you can just the other way around, mount it onto the display like this, and then you can attach the hood on top So that definitely helps a lot when you are shooting outdoor in the middle of day when you have lots of sun. That definitely make the screen a lot easier to see. But anyway, the overall brightness, color, and also contrast of this screen is pretty good, and I found it more accurate compared to most other cameras LCD screen that I've been using recently. And as I've mentioned a little bit earlier, the screen is a touch screen. So let me turn on the screen and then we can go through some of the menu items and settings. First, there's a quick menu. If you swipe up from the bottom, then you can see there are a couple of settings that you can change very quickly. And if you want to customize it, you can do it as well by just double tapping, and then you can change to any of the other settings that you would want to use. If you swipe up and down on the left side of the screen, then you can control the brightness of the display. If you swipe up and down on the right side of the screen, then you can control the audio volume. So if you plug in a headphone, then it will adjust the audio volume that you would hear through your headphone. If you double tap on the screen, then it will bring up the main menu. So you have 5 different group of settings that you have here. The first group is the display option, so you can turn on and turn off the histogram, you can turn on the peaking, and you can also adjust the level of the peaking, also the color, and you can also have the audio meter display, zebra, monochrome, and also the false color as well. And the second group is the marker, so you have quite a few different settings that you can choose. For example, the safety marker, and you also have the marker matte that depends on what aspect ratio that you want to use, and you can also change the marker color, etc. And the third group are the settings that allow you to choose how the image is rendered on the screen. For example, you can have the underscan, overscan, or you can change the video aspect ratio. And if you are shooting with an anamorphic lens, you can also turn on the anamorphic mode and just choose the ratio that matches your setup. And you can also flip the screen horizontally or vertically, as I mentioned before. And there are a few other settings you can change from this group as well. And the next one is about the colors. So you can either choose one of the built-in LUT that you want to apply to your video, or you can choose one of the LUT that you import from the SD card slot. And you can also change a few other things, for example, the color temperature, the brightness, the contrast saturation, etc. And the last group are the settings for this monitor. For example, you can change the different language. You can change between, say, for example, Japanese, Chinese, English, Italian. And there are also quite a few other important settings for the monitor. For example, you can reset the whole monitor setting, or you can do a firmware update from this screen. Since this is the first time that I use a FeelWorld monitor, so it definitely took me a little while for me to figure out how the menu system, how the different tab and swipe interaction works. But now after using the monitor for a while, and I find the overall interface is actually quite well designed. Some of the UI could probably be polished a little bit more. For example, if they include a little bit more animation when they are scrolling the menu and things like that to make it feel better. But in terms of the actual functionality, I don't really have any problem with the menu and the overall user interface of this FeelWorld monitor. And unlike my Atmo Ninja 5, which has a really loud built-in fan that would kick in every time I turn it on, this FeelWorld monitor does not have any built-in fan, so the operation is virtually completely silent. And that's another reason why I love to use it when I'm shooting my YouTube video, because I previously tried to use my Atmo Ninja 5 and mount it on top of my camera, but the noise from the Atmo is just way too loud that make it I can't use it when I'm shooting video indoor. With this FeelWorld monitor, I don't have this problem at all. And also the screen actually doesn't get too warm after I'm shooting it for a long time. Even I use it for 30 minutes plus, the screen only gets barely warm, so that is quite good. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention is that the monitor actually comes with a mounting bracket. This one, I quite like it because it is very solid, and when I mount it onto the monitor, let me put it on here. It will hold the monitor very securely onto the camera, onto the hot shoe mount, and also it has a tiltable design so that I can tilt the monitor quite easily. And also there is an extra cold shoe mount here, so you can either put in a microphone or you can put a small LED light here to help with lighting. So yeah, I think it is a very good accessory that is bundled with the monitor. While I think the monitor itself is quite nice and also the touch interface works quite well, one thing that I don't really like is that because it has a very glossy, shiny surface of the monitor, so it is a big fingerprint magnet. So yeah, I touch it and then I can see my fingerprint living here very easily. So even now, I actually cleaned the screen before I filmed this review, but right now I'm not sure you can see it. There is already quite a lot of fingerprint on it. So yeah, not really affecting any functionality, but yeah, it is a lot of fingerprint. Okay, so this is my review of this FeelWorld F6 Plus monitor. Overall, I think apart from the monitor itself feel a little bit plasticky, everything else works very good, especially consider the price. The price is very affordable. So for anyone who want to have an external monitor but don't want to spend a lot of money, this is definitely a very attractive option. I really like how lightweight this monitor is, especially when I have to mount it onto the horseshoe mount of the camera. So it just causes a lot less stress to the horseshoe mount, and also when I have to handheld the camera, because it's lighter, so my arm won't feel so tired so quickly. Thank you very much for watching this video, and as usual, if you have any questions or feedback or comment about this product or my video, just feel free to drop a comment below. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.